310864. Stations your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you. It is a good day to be a Duck. We've got men's and women's basketball seasons tipping off tomorrow. We also have a number of Oregon victories from the weekend to tell you about. And if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, coming up in half an hour, the NCAA Soccer Selection Show is coming up. Graham Abel normally joins us at about 1:35, 1:40, so 40 minutes into the show. It may very well be live reaction. Yeah, that's right, live reaction for Oregon women's soccer. We're hoping that the Ducks are going to see their name called, and Graham Abel is going to come in, and we're going to do some live reaction with the Oregon soccer head coach. So they're a bubble team. Let's see what happens. Let's go Ducks, and let's hope that everything goes according to plan for Oregon soccer. We have some kickoff times to tell you about, but not the one that you were hoping for. 7:30 against Washington State for the Ducks on ESPN this week, and the Pac-12 has announced that Utah, Oregon, and USC, UCLA are being held for 6-day selections, but no matter what, it will not be a night game for the Ducks in Salt Lake City. The games in Los Angeles and Salt Lake City have three possible start times, either 12:30, 1 o'clock, or 4:30 Pacific. The Ducks and the Utes, that is probably the marquee game of the week, especially the way that things have been going around the Pac-12 conference this year. We'll talk more about that coming up. Your Facebook comments and questions after Oregon's big win over Washington. Some takeaways from that one, and I'm also excited to tell you about the Washington State Week ticket package. Because, guys, this is awesome. Starts at $69, 5 games in 3 days. You got volleyball against USC. You got men's basketball against SMU on Friday, a doubleheader at Matthew Knight Arena. Then you can sleep in, maybe start a beverage early, up to you. You got football against Washington State at 7:30 at Autzen Stadium. Then on Sunday, Oregon volleyball in just a ho-hum top 20 meeting between the Bruins of UCLA and your Ducks. And then women's basketball plays Dixie State at 5 o'clock. Washington State weekend ticket package starts at $69. GoDucks.com's tickets window has you covered. This is a awesome deal, and I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. A great weekend to be here in town. I got a buddy actually coming into town this weekend, and this was why. Like, I would love to sit here and say it's because he wanted to hang out with me and my wife, but no, he wanted to come and watch the Ducks. That's why people come, right? That's what we do. The Ducks, though, big game against Washington State coming up, and that's, of course, following an Oregon and Washington big-time game up in Seattle, and announced today by the University of Washington Athletic Department following that incident in the first half of the game between the Ducks and the Huskies. Jimmy Lake has been suspended without pay, the head coach for the Huskies, for this week's game this week against Arizona State. And that comes after Oregon beat the Huskies with a final of 26-16. Who had two safeties in the game, right? Who thought that was going to happen? I mean, it starts out pretty wild, doesn't it? The Ducks are kind of spotting Washington 7 points with that touchdown that came after a review that, well, I'm not even really sure what I'm allowed to say. We'll let Mario Cristobal take that one, the Oregon football head coach. We're going to hear from him coming up in just a moment. But the Ducks started with the ball, the interception that was a little bit of an interesting moment because it came after the official stopped play to review a play, even though another play had already been run. Joe Moorhead said that it is year 24 for him coaching football, and he had never seen that before. Either way, it kind of stopped momentum. But if you're Anthony Brown, he'd be the first to say you can't make that mistake and throw that interception that did lead to a touchdown for Washington. Next drive, though, Oregon, a big field goal for Camden Lewis into the win. This might have been his most impressive kick of the season. He's now 9 for 9 kicking field goals. Camden Lewis is. Might be the kicker of the year in the Pac-12 when all is said and done. Got to keep it up. But into the win from 46 out. Felt big for the Ducks to get on the board in that moment. And the defense was really good. Unfortunately, the special teams for Washington was equally as good, if not better, putting the Ducks literally on the goal line. And it led to a safety. So it's 9-3. Which feels more like a baseball score than it does a football score. But the defense kept making plays for the Ducks, ultimately led to Oregon's offense getting things going on what was a great throw and catch from Anthony Brown to Devin Williams. He floated it over the defense as Devin Williams got behind the defense. Got the Ducks in the lead, and then they really didn't relinquish it. Got a little closer than the Ducks would have liked, but still, they were able to find the end zone a few more times. And one in particular, a huge Travis Dye run that got Oregon into the red zone to start the second half. Anthony Brown finished it on an option keeper. 17-9, Ducks have the lead. Defense, again, continues to impress, but I'll tell you, the Ducks had the ball at the start of the fourth quarter, and Ryan Walk had just gone down. And I got to tell you, my stomach just turned over. Because the Ducks have been through so much adversity, so many injuries this year, and now you just add Ryan Walk to the list. Update on his injury coming from Coach Cristobal in a little bit as you hear his weekly press conference, but it sounds like at least a few weeks for Ryan Walk. But then Alex Forsyth was able to come back in. Alex Forsyth, next play, Travis Dye scored. Not bad, huh? As the Ducks are feeling pretty good at that point. Now, Coach Cristobal would tell you that when Alex did come back in later on in the game, a couple penalties, including an unsportsmanlike on Alex Forsyth, one that Coach Cristobal knows that the Ducks need to learn from and get a little bit better. Washington was able to find the end zone again to make it 24-16, so the Ducks needed to score. A couple penalties really backed the Ducks up. Got inside the 5. Ultimately, though, the defense was really great again after the Ducks had to punt and forced a punt in the snap that went out of the back of the end zone for a safety, and it ends up at 26-16. Just reading through the charts there and just what the Ducks did in this game, good road win in a terrible weather environment for sure, but also 2 safeties. The defense was great, and it was a really odd game. Just being up there, seeing how frantic it almost was the entire game, I was really impressed with the way that Oregon overcame some adversity and really was resilient after getting down early. Ducks showed, I think, that they're one of the better teams around. There's no doubt about that. We're going to go through some of the stats, some of the post-game notes. First, though, how'd it sound? Jerry and Jorgie on the call.
Snack, play action to throw. Wants to go deep. Way down the right side is picked. Interception, Oregon. Is that Happel? Looks
Happel.
like Jordan Happel. Dive to the left of Brown, and here's a play action fake. Wanting to throw. Brown going to the end zone. He's got him. Touchdown, Oregon. Floated that football into the end zone. And it will be Dye who goes right up the middle and breaks free. 30, 20, 10, 5, 4-yard line and down. Travis Dye. Anthony Brown waiting for the snap. Got the snap. Going to keep it, turn it up, and will get it into the end zone on the run. Left side, Anthony Brown. Snap and give it to Dye. Running right, cut back lane there. 10, 5. Look out. Touchdown, Travis Dye. Why not take advantage of it right now? 4th and 10 at their own 10. And ball snapped over the top of Porter's head, safety. Are you kidding me? That's the way this game's going to end? Okay, it's final. 26-16. Oregon with a victory.
There you go. Jerry and Jorgie on the call with the game recap, and it really was an odd game. I mean, it still feels kind of like discombobulated, but that's what good teams do. They go on the road and they win. And you saw this weekend more top 10 teams going on the road, either playing in tough games or losing tough games. And the Ducks weren't one of them. That's what you got to do at this point. They control their own destiny, and really Pac-12 North is on the line this week. If Oregon gets it done against Washington State, you feel really good about Oregon making it into that Pac-12 championship game. Travis Dye continues to be just a real force for the Ducks. 28 carries, 211 yards, a touchdown, a long of 45, just an average 7.5 yards per carry. Routine for Travis Dye. Anthony Brown carried the ball 12 times for 63 yards and a score. Was 10 of 20 passing in that terrible weather for 98 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Look, the weather sucked. I have no other way to describe the weather. My rain gear made no difference. None whatsoever. My rain gear was completely soaked through to the sweatshirt. Had to lose the raincoat and the sweatshirt down to the base layer in order to be dry by the end of the game. It was a downpour. So the Ducks did a nice job, I think, handling that. And as Coach Cristobal said post-game, Ducks overcame that adversity too. That's just what they do. Some of those post-game notes, though, on Travis Dye for just a moment. Career high, 211 yards. He's the first player to rush for more than 200 yards against Washington since 2011. Over 10 years it's been since a Washington defense gave up that many rushing yards. And the most rushing yards by an Oregon player since C.J. Verdell ran for 257 against Washington State a couple years ago. Jeffrey says that the rain reminded him of the Cal game at Autzen a few years back. It wasn't that bad. I'm just telling you that waterfalls down every staircase at Autzen Stadium during that Cal monsoon. That was No, that was no fun. It was great to see Jordan Happel back for the Ducks as well. He got the interception with a club on his hand. Looked like Troy Dye at times. Jordan Happel with a really, really nice play there. Throwing into triple coverage, though, I think Dylan Morris would tell you that's one that he'd like back, the Washington quarterback. As a team, the Ducks beat Washington for the 15th time in the last 17 meetings. That's rivalry domination. Ducks won for the 7th time in the last 8 meetings against Washington and Seattle, and Oregon is off to an 8-1 start or better for the 14th time in school history, and outscoring teams 72-17 in the middle 2 quarters over the last 3 games. Remember, the Ducks wanted the middle 8 to be a successful stat for this team. They really like to win the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Boy, have the Ducks done that lately. After maybe the third quarter was not Oregon's best quarter early in the season, again, in the middle 2 quarters, Ducks are outscoring opponents 72-17 here recently over the last 3 games. Really impressive stuff. Ducks ran for a season-high 329 yards and 2 touchdowns on 56 attempts. They ran it down their throats. That's what the Ducks wanted to do, and they did it. The defense allowed just 166 yards of total offense, 55 on the ground, while holding Washington to just 7 first downs. That's the fewest first downs allowed in a game in over 10 years. And the last to have 7 was on September 18th, 2010, when Portland State had 7. Ducks held an opponent under 170 yards of total offense for the first time since that Portland State game in 2010. And get this, it's the first time that a Pac-12 opponent has been held under 200 yards of offense since November 13th, 2010 against Cal, and the fewest yards allowed in a conference game since October 3rd of 2009. The Duck defense, that's a historic performance. More than a decade since the Ducks have had a dominant defensive performance like that. Really, really impressive. Noah Sewell led the team with 10 tackles, broke up a couple of passes. Devin Williams again led the team in receiving yards, 3rd straight game doing that. And Anthony Brown just continues to be a really tough competitor, and he got it done for the Ducks, leading them to a 26-16 win over Washington. I'll tell you what, everybody's been asking me, and on segments like this, when I don't have my mask on so my glasses don't fog up, I guess today's a good day to put the glasses back on. Gives me a little bit more of an academic prowess look, doesn't it? I went to Oregon. Ducks take down the Huskies 15 of the last 17 times. Prowess. When we come back, let's hear from Coach Cristobal on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Exit Strategy. No matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota. Let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Hoodoo-Skiria, preseason pass sale going on now. Dig into deep savings. Get your season pass at hoodoo.com. God, I can't wait for the snow. I am ready for that. Mario Cristobal with his weekly press conference. We also have a number of other things to tell you about today in a moment. Will Richardson, men's tennis, women's basketball's exhibition, volleyball, women's soccer, selection show coming up in about 15 minutes if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. So good luck to Graham Abel and the Oregon women's soccer team. I've seen a lot of people asking about India Rogers, Tina Pow. Yeah, Ducks were a little shorthanded in that exhibition this past weekend. The Ducks did, though, beat Westmont 95-65 without India Rogers and without Tina Pow, top 2 point guards in particular. So we'll find out more. Look, full disclosure, Coach Cristobal. Coach Graves is going to meet with the media actually while we're doing the show today. So more updates coming on the availability and longevity of any players that are dinged up for Oregon women's basketball. That's going to be coming up. We'll probably have it more for you tomorrow when the Ducks open their season, because we do have a doubleheader at Matthew Knight Arena tomorrow. 4 o'clock for the men, 7:30 for the women. I'm looking forward to it. Myself and Terry Johns are going to do a quick switcheroo in between games, and yeah, man, basketball season is here. Let's hear from Coach Cristobal, part 1 of his press conference meeting with the media today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Just recapping, really excited and proud, excited for our guys and of our progress, and proud of our guys for their performance on Saturday. The weather wasn't great, so one of those games where physicality and execution were going to have to really be the difference in the game, and it proved to be the case. So, and then after just watching film, evaluating everything, progress in a lot of places, improvement to be made in others, particularly our coverage teams, as you guys probably saw. But the focus immediately turned onto this week's opponent, an excellent football team with just a lot of explosive players, very disruptive on defense, very talented and well coached, and playing with a tremendous edge and energy. So that being said, open to questions.
Mario, I wanted to get a status update on several guys. Obviously, Ryan Walk went down with the left knee. Stephen Jones got rolled up on. Want an update on Jackson Powers Johnson, whether or not he'll be available this week. Didn't see Jalen Jeffers travel, Steve Stevens, and I didn't see Jalen Davies travel.
Okay, well, the good news on Ryan Walk, it's not as bad as we thought. You know, you always fear, that season-ending injury. It's not season-ending, but it will take 3 to 4 weeks for him to heal up. So we were very happy to receive that news. Jackson Powers Johnson, we feel is ready to roll this week, and he practiced with us yesterday. So the timing of that ends up being good. Stephen Jones is healthy. He's good to go. Just nicked up, the course of the game and the season itself, but he's tough and he's been awesome. Steve Stevens, the injury is a little bit more significant than originally thought, so we're not sure exactly when he is to return. Jalen Jeffers and Jalen Davies was just a numbers thing with so many guys down at different positions. We loaded up on the ones that had some guys who were a little bit nicked up. And with traveling number restrictions when you're on the road and conference play, those guys did not make the trip, but they are still in the 2 deep and also getting reps and got reps yesterday.
Coach, you mentioned the good timing of Jackson being back, but obviously Alex being back is a huge lift on this line and fits back in at center. Just your assessments of him this last week. Obviously, I think snapping errors or handling errors in wet conditions is always good, and kind of how your confidence with how he's performed since coming back from that injury.
Yeah, he's been chomping at the bit ever since, he had the mishap with his back. So stepped right in and picked up where he left off, was physical, was thorough, was tough. Obviously, not very happy about that. The penalty at the end, a lot of pent up frustration coming out, and we just have to learn that it doesn't matter, team first. He's smart, teachable moment, learning situation. He's ready to roll. Love him. He's as good as it gets. That guy epitomizes what this football program is about. So happy that he's healthy.
Coach, you obviously encourage your players to play with a lot of emotion and passion, and in a rivalry game that can sometimes lead to mistakes. How do you feel your players did with that on Saturday?
We did good up until play 72 and 73 on offense. We had one earlier that we were offsetting, but later on, both Alex and Micah just went over the edge. We poured our energy and our passion and any kind of emotion. I don't ever think you should play emotionally. You just don't. You pour your passion and any emotion you have into playing the game, and you want to do it through football, all through football, snap to whistle, between the lines. That's where the focus has to be. And we had done a pretty good job up until that point. You see several counts where Jalen Red is getting. I can't emphasize how proud and fired up I am about Jalen Red, because there's so many times where he is just busting his behind, blocking downfield. He's getting shoved in the head, pulled down, yanked, face mask. All he does is throw his hands up. Penalty on the other team. For the most part, good. And then it got away from us there at the end when we had a chance to really close out the game before having a chance again to close out again at the end. So improvement needs to be made.
Mario, you mentioned it in your opening statement, but what makes guys specifically on that Wazoo side, Delora and Borgie, so tough?
Well, number one, they're really talented. Secondly, the scheme, veteran offensive line. These guys are as fundamentally and technically sound as you will find. They play physical, hard-nosed, and tough. Their run game, it's, if you look at mixed downs, they're 50-50. They run the ball, they get downhill, they get outside. They are hard to tackle because they make you miss, and they run behind their pads, and they run with a lot of power. Explosive guys catch the ball extremely well out of the backfield. And, of course, the threat of their passing game is something that is, they're just explosive with the ball in their hands and in the short game and the screen game, as well as running right by you. Double moves built into a lot of stuff, verticals, you name it. They've got a complete team, really explosive on offense, really explosive and disruptive on defense. So all those things make up for why they have had so much success these last 5 weeks.
Jeffrey Bossa is the only true freshman starting on the defense right now. How has he proven over the course of the season that he is meant to take on this big role that he is right now? And after a huge game, great defensive game like that against the Huskies, how would you like to see Bossa and others get going Saturday against Washington State?
Yeah, well, I think for a guy like Jeffrey, it's all between the ears. The guy he's really, really smart. And when you're recruiting guys, you want to make sure that guys not only understand football, but they understand the things necessary to be done throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the offseason, to be prepared to play. Him playing and being a starter is not a product of the week. It's a product of his arrival in January and his investment ever since then. And when you ask a guy to move from a position which he wanted to play, he wanted to come in as a safety, we brought him in as a safety, and that's what he was playing. And all of a sudden we lose 3-4 guys at linebacker and say, hey, brother, we need some help here, and we think that you can help us. When a guy makes that move and just invests the amount of time to learn that position, I mean, it speaks volumes of him as a competitor, him as a dedicated teammate, a committed teammate. He has learned the physicality, the fits. He understood the passing game already, playing the safety position, playing both boundary and the nickel. So the passing game came naturally to him. Then everything else, was a learning process. And every week got better and better and better. And it culminated in his best performance this last week, And those other guys are doing a great job too. Keith Brown, Nate Hukalani, those guys, Micah Roth, they're all coming along. Jabril McNeil, those guys are coming along really well. So all in all, just really proud of that linebacker group.
Yeah, Mario, I know you're always confident in your players, but are you ever just kind of taken back or just really pleased with how Travis plays? Because every game it feels like he does something that's better than expected and just awe-inspiring. I mean, he was running harder in the fourth quarter than he felt like in the first quarter. Just his importance, and feels like he's maybe the best player in the league right now offensively.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. We think he is that and more, and we think there's more coming from him. I think he took it personally, when, and I think you guys helped with that when said, well, is he going to be limited with the number of carries? Can he handle the load? Well, maybe you guys should keep questioning him. We'll get some more production out of him. So write that up today and see what he does this, the coming week. So the guy's an ultimate competitor, it's in the family DNA. So the pride that he takes in the course of the week in preparation. And then I wish you could see him behind the scenes as a leader, and the amount of energy and passion generated in the way he addresses, encourages, talks, pushes, and challenges his teammates is really special. And we're getting to enjoy, all the fruits of his labor. So got to keep it going.
Yeah, Coach, a little tongue in cheek, but Anthony Brown seems like he's expanded his role physically. He's like blocking sometimes for Travis. The interception, he goes down and tackles Bruner, the linebacker. Can you just comment on his, and then of course he's running the ball really effectively, taking a lot of punishment. Can you just comment on what kind of person he is or the physicality that he has?
Yeah, well, he's an exceptional competitor. Anthony Brown, I think people don't realize how big he is. He's a big guy. I mean, he's 230 pounds plus. Really hard worker in the weight room. Like, he really invests in his body and his mind. He understands the game. He understands angles, leverages, intent of the play. A lot of times you find quarterbacks that just know the pass concept and kind of where to go with the ball. He'll tell you everything. He'll tell you the protection. He'll tell you the adjustments that the O-line will make, the adjustments the backs, the tight ends will make as well in protection and their check downs, as well as what the defense is going to do and reacting to it. So because of that, he's able to just be extra, as you saw on Travis's touchdown. He's running right down the field and actually ran right by him, provided a great block down there. So a lot of pride. He just wants his teammates to do really well, and that's what you're witnessing.
Yeah, man, how about that? Anthony Brown has been really, really good in the run game, as we've talked about, but his ability to get out and throw blocks, he's done that a few times this year, and it impresses me. I mean, he doesn't care if he's got a red jersey on in practice. That guy's going to go hit you. I love that Coach Cristobal was talking about that. Just coming from the Pac-12 Conference today, Jeffrey Bossa, the freshman linebacker and safety for the Ducks. He is the Pac-12 Freshman Defensive Player of the Week. How about that? Fourth time an Oregon player has won the award this season, all by one of their linebackers. Justin Flo took home the award in Week 1 before being lost for the season. Noah Sewell went back-to-back with wins in Week 7 and Week 8. Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Week. Pretty impressive. First career sack for Jeffrey Bossa this past weekend, and a big part of Oregon's defense that held Washington just 166 yards. Oregon's highest-graded player by Pro Football Focus, 79.3, according to Jeffrey Bossa. Tim DeRuyter said today that was his best game that he has played at linebacker this season for the Ducks. Congratulations, Jeffrey Bossa, honored by the Pac-12 Conference today. More coming up from Coach Cristobal. Let's hear the rest from head coach Mario Cristobal after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joy Mack in the Country Financial Studio. We got the Women's Soccer Selection Show coming up. You're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll be keeping an eye on it, some live updates for you. But first, let's hear more from Oregon football head coach Mario Cristobal. Brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Mario Cristobal meeting with the media.
Hey, Coach, what can you tell us about the resilience shown by your team, not only throughout the season by overcoming as many injuries as you have, but also on Saturday with such a dominant win against a division rival with that weather and with the way the game started? And how important is it for you as a coach to pass that on to your players?
Well, I think it's something that we're always emphasizing and working. And when you go on the road, you got to understand that when you pack your luggage, your toiletries, your warm-up suit, you better pack your resiliency, and you better pack your toughness, and you better pack your camaraderie and your resiliency to a different level, just because you're going to need it's going to have to show. In a game like that, I mean, you saw it was coming down sideways, and you're going to have to play a certain way to move the ball and to stop the other team. And, you know, sometimes more than sometimes, that's more important than the actual play design itself. So it showed up big. We feel that there's a growing momentum in our locker room in terms of what we can overcome and how we can perform. And we just want to continue improving. That's what the team is focused on, being 1-0 in everything we do.
Mario, a couple of things on officiating, one specific and one more broad. I'm not going to revisit every which spot or intentional grounding. We don't have enough time. But on after the Micah face mask, it was announced that it was still first down. The sticks still said it was first down. Right before the snap, it changed to 2nd and 33, which was proper. But did you guys believe it was first down on the play call? And then that prompted the timeout before 3rd and 33. Therefore, that affected the game, the misannouncement. Number one. Number two, with that and all of the other things that you can't comment on because of officiating, with what you guys are playing for, what degree of confidence do you have in this conference's officials to be able to handle the magnitude of the games you're playing?
I mean, all these things are the importance of doing things in a timely manner are critical in decision making, because a personal foul during a play is very different than one after the play. And like you mentioned, it changes the down. Not the distance, but it certainly changes the play calling and the philosophy behind it. So I don't know where to go in answering that question without, you know, creating issues for myself. So I'll stay away from it, but we all feel when you watch film that is intentional grounding, balls on the hash, balls thrown from the hash to nobody. But, there are missed calls sometimes and got to roll with it.
Coach, is there a cumulative effect, I guess, just with Camden? You see him make these kicks so consistently. I think this last one was maybe one of the more impressive based on distance, also based on conditions and kind of what the game means. That just kind of at this point, you feel like anytime you send him out there, it's splitting the uprights. And I guess we'll just ask again, has there been any more progress even in his range? Because I know he talked about into 50. What is kind of that mark for where you feel really comfortable sending him out?
I was tempted there at the end. The thing is that, the negatives outweighed the percentage of the positives because the wind was strong. It was still raining, like we talked about, sideways. And then longer kicks require lower trajectory. Those are the ones that could get blocked and ricocheted and go the other way. So those are the tough decisions that, you gain 25 yards of field position and an extra 8 seconds off the clock with the defense playing well, or do you roll the dice and try to make it a 2-score game? And he's kicking so well that you have to think about it. There's some other factors that play into it where, we made the decision. I made the decision to do what we did. But there's just ultra confidence in him right now. There really is. And he's shown it, right? 9 for 9. Got to keep working on our kickoffs. I know the wind was really all over the place, but I'm just really proud of him. And we're going to need him. We're going to need him to continue getting better and better.
Mario, what's the toughest thing about playing a team after a bye week, specifically this team that's kind of been, this Washington State team's been kind of through a whirlwind over the last few weeks?
Well, I think whirlwinds in football are most of the time good because you play the sport because you love competition and challenges or whatnot. Throwing a scenario like they've had to deal with a really talented crew of players, a very senior-laden team, a lot of guys that had the extra year and super seniors, a really talented coaching staff with a great scheme, and then you add an extra week of preparation to be able to dissect their opponent. So all those factors are things that, they're real, but it starts with what they are and what they've shown on film. And what they've shown on film is they're an excellent football team. This is for us, and I've been here 5 years. This is as big of a rival as we have because of the way that these games have gone over the course of the years and the physicality behind these games. So, again, I'm not sure if I answered the question, but hopefully I landed in the vicinity of that.
So, Coach, as your team continues the hunt for the Pac-12 championship, what specifics do you need to improve on for both sides of the ball?
Well, it's everything, really. Starts with block destruction up front, making sure that we can strike blockers, separate, make plays on the ball, gap control, alignments, assignments, eye discipline, eye control, both zone and man coverage, our pressure packages, consistent pressure on the quarterback, work on our man blocks and double teams, both gap and zone schemes, inside, outside, our pin and pull stuff, some of our vertical passing game. I could go on and on. I mean, we're really trying to work on everything. What really stood out really big the other day was our coverage units. We're better than that. And a lot of it was technical and fundamental and just not putting our foot on the gas and going. We got to do that. That's on us. That's on me. And that's on our coaching staff to make sure we get that out of our players because we're capable and we're really good at that early in the season. So, but lots to improve upon, and we're working hard at it.
Yeah, Mario, you've kind of gone through an in-season, or I guess you're replacing Taggart in your first year in 2017. So you kind of have some, I guess, experience in what Washington State's gone through this season. But can you maybe just explain or put into context how impressive it is that they've gone 4-1 their last 5 games through a coaching change leading up to it, after it? They've won 4 games in a row in conference.
Mm-hmm. Really impressive, especially against the teams that they have played against and the way which they have won, the way that they just forced turnovers. I mean, they were at one point, I believe the Arizona State game was 34-7. I mean, in complete control of that game from start to finish against an excellent football team. So just playing with a lot of passion, executing at a high level, because at the end of the day, playing hard is great, but executing and playing hard that's what separates the really good teams from the rest of the pack. And that's what they're doing, So we, nothing but our very best is going to be good enough on Saturday. And we're looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity.
You touched on this a little bit after the game, Mario, but the defensive improvement statistically in league play has been quite significant. Obviously, having a lot of players back helps in that regard. But you speak to just what the last month in particular has been compared to where you were. If you take out the Ohio State game in particular, your overall stats take a huge jump. But in league play, total defense, you're second in the league. How have you guys been able to shore that up so quickly?
Well, credit to the coaches and the players working together at it. And as you know, you mentioned it, is when you lose parts, I don't think the outside world really knows how difficult it is when you're limited from what you can call, because 2 or 3 or 4 parts aren't ready to perform at the level that you need them to perform to roll out the playbook and call it and defend things the best way you can. That's real difficult. So as the weeks go on, guys get healthier and other guys actually get better at their positions. Now, all of a sudden, you are able to call and defend things the way that your defense is designed to defend them. And I think that's where the massive jump has taken place. I also I feel that our guys are realizing that when we're focused and locked in with great eye discipline and we throw in the physicality, that we can be really, really good. And that we still need to make massive improvements. There's a lot of meat on the bone left, and our guys know that. They're excited about that. So I think those are some of the factors, but credit all those guys on defense and the coaches, the GAs, and the analysts. They're really working hard at it, and they want to be better.
Mario Cristobal, the Oregon football head coach, brought to you by the William Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Still waiting if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour to see if Oregon's going to see its name called. I got the selection show pulled up. We'll let you know for Oregon women's soccer as they await their fate for the postseason. When we come back, some news from around the athletic department. Also going to hear from Joe Moorhead, the Oregon offensive coordinator here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long.
Nope, sorry, Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon still awaiting to see its name called in the selection show. We'll keep you up to date. In the meantime, let's hear from Joe Moorhead, Oregon offensive coordinator, brought to you by our friends at WVCI. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. Some other notes around Oregon athletics coming up. Let's hear a little bit from Joe Moorhead.
Question again about, I'm just wondering, against Cal, last play of the game, you're in the end zone, needing a good snap, and then against Washington, you're at the 1 yard line, you get a safety. How about the quarterback under center, 230-pound quarterback? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just not something that we do on a regular basis, and not something that's part of the offense. Certainly, there are people who believe in that and utilize that, play. But we like to play the percentages that I think we only had, one negative yardage play, rush play in that entire game and 56 snaps. And, and we just don't want to force yourself to play left-handed to go under center. And, that's just our philosophy. And I know a lot of people believe in the sneak, but that's just not something that we do schematically.
Joe, the first play of the fourth quarter, just upon review of not just Travis's score or AB running past him, but the collective effort of everyone there. I mean, the right side of the line, Jalen Redd blocking. How do you evaluate that play and execution across the board, and just how pivotal it was, obviously, to the game itself?
Yeah, generally speaking, that kind of power sucker crack play that we run, we usually run that thing to the boundary, and just switch it up to run it to the field. But a huge play in the game and momentum swing to get ahead by a score by 8 points there. So certainly from a important standpoint, it was a big score in the game. But it's you gain a certain amount of satisfaction when there's a play that you have drawn up and all 11 people are executing and orchestrating. Just how it's designed. You said Jay Redd with the crack block on the Mike linebacker there, who probably outweighed him by 40, 50 pounds. AB made the absolute correct read on the defensive end. George got around the horn, kicked out the Sam, and everyone else did their job. And then AB, after handing the ball off, with a great hustle play to get ahead. And obviously, Travis, doing what Travis does. So it was a huge play both in the game and for us from an execution standpoint.
Coach, as an offensive coach, obviously one of your biggest goals is to put as many points on the board as possible. So 10 seconds left, ball on the 1 yard line, the decision comes to run the clock out. Wondering whose call that was and if it was a tough one to swallow at all.
No, we weren't trying to run the clock out at all. We were trying to punch the ball in, and AB was waiting for Alex Forsythe to make his line calls there for the blocks to be made. And unfortunately, we didn't have an opportunity to snap it. So that was absolutely not a situation we were trying to not snap like a quadruple negative there. We were attempting to snap the ball and score, but the clock ran out before we could get it snapped.
Hey, Coach, what stands out the most to you about Washington State's defense, and particularly about Ron Stone Jr.? He's having quite a great season. What are your thoughts on him, and what makes him such a good player?
I think the thing that sticks out the most about Washington State's defense is they play with tremendous passion. They swarm to the football. Those guys play with a very, very, very high motor. And I think of the 11 players, 8 are either graduate players or seniors, so that they're very, very experienced. But Coach Dicker does an excellent job with, disguising. They give you multiple looks, on first and second down, and really have an extensive blitz package on third down. So they play hard. They're very well coached. They have an excellent scheme. They disguise well. And I believe they're 5th in the country in takeaways. So they make a very pointed, effort to either strip the ball or create turnovers. So those are things that stick out about the defense. They're very impressive.
Yeah, Joe, I think on Travis's touchdown run, AB made the block at the very end to allow him to score. Maybe he got in maybe because of momentum or whatnot, but you don't see that very often where the quarterback is racing down the field to deliver blocks. And it's not the first time that he's done this season. Do you like that? And I guess what does that say about him and just his willingness, I guess, literally to do anything it takes? Because typically the quarterback tosses it and falls away from the play.
Yeah, not only is that encouraged from the position, it's expected. And we have a rule anytime the ball is handed off and we're not reading a second or third level defender, that we are sprinting 5 yards past the line of scrimmage full speed, either to pull people away from the play or to get out in front. And I tell the quarterbacks the same thing we tell the receivers, that, our job is to turn short runs into long runs and long runs into touchdowns. So, we're no different than the other 10 people on the field. And obviously we got to be smart with what we do in terms of blocking people and how we're doing it. But, we need to be hustling the ball just like anyone else. And, I think that's another thing, outside of the, passing game for the quarterback, which warrants and garners a lot of deserved attention, that we ask our quarterback to make a decision on almost every, run play, whether it's second or third level RPOs, whether they hand it off or throw it, or, essentially a lot of things that we do that we saw on Saturday are really triple options. So whether they hand it off or pull it, and then when you get on the edge, throw it or run it. So although AB stats didn't show up huge in the pass game because it was freezing and raining sideways, he made a lot of excellent decisions in the run game that allowed us to hand it off against advantageous numbers or get the thing thrown on the perimeter. So along with the hustle, I was excited about, the decisions he made on those 56 runs.
So as Washington State comes off a bye week, how do you want to utilize your talented speedsters on the outside like Micah Pittman and Troy Franklin against the defense that most recently created 5 turnovers against their last game against Arizona State?
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was their first 3 possessions they got turnovers against Arizona State. But they're very tall and long at corner. I think those guys are both 6'2" plus. And they're not afraid to play press coverage. They're going to, do everything they can to disrupt routes. The safeties, they play well man coverage too. And a lot of it goes back to the original question about Rob Stone. They have a very active defensive front, particularly the defensive ends that pressure the passer. So we got to do a great job when it's man-to-man in separating and getting open. And then when it's zone, making sure our spacing is correct, whether it's horizontally or vertically, and protecting and getting the ball down the field. But it'll be a huge challenge because 1, they rush the passer well, and 2, they cover well on the back end.
Joe, 2 things on officiating, and not specific calls because I don't want to get you in trouble there, but just on how it impacted the offense. What did the review of a non-reviewable play after you ran a subsequent play, how did that impact the momentum of that drive, which I think ended in the interception, if I'm not mistaken? 1, and 2, after Micah's face mask, they incorrectly stated it was still first down. The sticks said first down. It changed to second just before the play, which was correct. But did you believe in calling that pass play that you had a first down still to work with because it was announced as such, which then prompted the timeout before 3rd and 33, which you may have thought was 2nd and 33?
Yeah, well, the first one, it's just year 24. I've never seen that happen before in the review play age, I guess, as it were. Really didn't particularly impact anything aside from momentum. That you had the first down, and then the next play was ran, and then you go back to review 2 plays prior. I mean, I had never seen it, but we kind of recollected, found out what down it was, and then moved on. And certainly those 2 penalties on the drive that you're speaking of. The second one, I think it was a 9-minute drive, and we were first and goal at the 1 or the half-yard line, and then to be knocked back, and then to be knocked back again. And I was trying to get just a naked pass play called where we could get something quick to the flat or the quarterback can run it. Not a ton of great plays on the call sheet for 2nd and 20 or 3rd and whatever the hell, 32, 20, whatever it was. But yeah, we just needed to maintain our poise there when we have it at the 1, and we punch it in, and it's up to over 30. But yeah, certainly those 2 things that knocked us back. And I guess there was a lot of discussion up top as we're trying to call the plays. Does anyone know what the hell what down it is right now? You know what I mean? So that's why, like, a naked pass right there is something where there's a general thought process. 2nd and long, get half of it back. So when we were there, trying to either get ourselves into field goal range or get a quick catch and run where we can, get up the field. But yeah, 1, we were trying to figure out what down it was, and then 2, on that 2nd and long, we're just trying to get half of the yardage back.
Made a difference, didn't it? Joe Moorhead, the Oregon offensive coordinator. When we come back, your Cafe M 2-minute drill, and it looks like didn't see the name called Oregon in the NCAA selection show for women's soccer. We'll tell you more about that coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
What's with Mountain Dew? Mountain Dew is like a zip line of incredible flavor directly into your brain. Mountain Dew is like getting punched in the mouth with pure neon refreshment that creates a neural explosion, sending flavor shards of electric brain pulses into your very core of being. Okay, maybe that's a little over the top, but you get the idea. The fact is, the mind-bending challenge of describing the taste of Mountain Dew is way harder than just experiencing it. That, of course, is easy. Just grab an ice cold Dew, crack it open, and toss them back. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Looks like the season comes to a close for Oregon soccer, missing out on an at-large bid as a bubble team here in the NCAA Soccer Selection Show. We'll hear more from Graham Abel coming up here. We'll get him on the show here to wrap up the season, but that stinks, man. I thought they had a great chance to get in. That begins your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Senior Will Richardson from Oregon men's basketball, one of top 50 players nationally, named to the 2022 Naismith Trophy watch list. Player of the Year honor. And Will Richardson is regarded as one of the top 50 players in the country heading into this season. Men's tennis, the doubles team of Joshua Charlton and Quinn Vanacastile won the doubles draw of the Jack Kramer Invitational yesterday. Nils Schielander, the head coach for the Ducks, pretty stoked. Charlton rounded out his championship Sunday, winning the singles draw as well. Well done for Oregon men's tennis. Great way to end with a little bit of an exclamation point on their season. Women's basketball, the exhibition was a successful one, even though they were a little shorthanded. Again, Kelly Graves is going to be meeting with the media here today. More updates on the health of India Rogers and others. Still a 30-point win over Westmont. Not too bad, huh? Not too bad. Volleyball, sweep of Stanford and Cal. We've got Matt Ulmer on the show tomorrow. And that's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. A lot of good things around Oregon athletics. CafeYum.com for menus. See you tomorrow.
Okay, man. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/care.